In 1973, a scientist named William Chase invited three chess players into his laboratory: a beginner, a club player, and a grandmaster. He showed each of them a chess position for exactly 5 seconds. Then he took it away. Their task was simple: rebuild the position from memory. The beginner struggled almost immediately. The club player remembered more, but the grandmaster recreated almost every piece perfectly. At first, the result didn't seem surprising. Of course the grandmaster remembered more. He'd spent years studying chess. Most people would have accepted that explanation and moved on. William Chase didn't. Instead, he decided to repeat the experiment. Same players, same 5 seconds. But this time, he changed one small detail. The position wasn't real. The pieces were placed randomly across the board. No opening, no strategy, no recognizable patterns, just random pieces. Chase repeated the experiment. The players studied the board for another 5 seconds. Then they tried to rebuild the position from memory. And suddenly, the grandmaster's advantage disappeared. His score dropped to almost the same as the beginner's. That wasn't supposed to happen. If grandmasters really had extraordinary memories, why did they disappear the moment the pieces were arranged randomly? The experiment had just destroyed the explanation everyone believed. So what exactly had William Chase discovered? To answer that, you first have to understand why he ran the experiment in the first place. He wanted to answer one of the biggest questions in chess. What separates a grandmaster's brain from everyone else's? For decades, the most common explanation had been simple. Grandmasters were born with better memories. But Chase had just proven that wasn't true. The grandmaster wasn't remembering more than everyone else. He was doing something completely different. And what scientists discovered next didn't just change the way we understand chess. It changed the way we understand the human brain. William Chase spent weeks studying the results. The grandmaster hadn't remembered more pieces. He had recognized something the others couldn't: patterns. Think about how you read. You don't process individual letters. Your brain recognizes entire words instantly. Your brain groups dozens of tiny pieces of information into something meaningful without you even noticing. Grandmasters do exactly the same thing. A beginner sees 32 individual pieces. A grandmaster sees a weak pawn structure, an exposed king, an open file, a dangerous attack beginning to form. Years of practice had taught his brain to group hundreds of possibilities into a handful of familiar patterns. That's why the second experiment changed everything. The random position had no patterns. Nothing looked familiar. Nothing could be grouped together. For the first time, the grandmaster was forced to memorize every piece individually, just like everyone else. Chase had his answer. The difference wasn't memory. It was how the brain processed information. That discovery changed the way scientists thought about expertise. But it also raised an even bigger question. If years of playing chess could change the way someone saw the board, could those changes follow them into everyday life? The answer came from an unexpected place: a classroom. In the late 1970s, Venezuela launched one of the largest educational experiments ever conducted with chess. Thousands of children were taught the game as part of their school curriculum. The goal wasn't to create future grandmasters. It was to find out whether chess could improve the way children thought. Researchers expected one thing: better chess players. Instead, they found something much bigger. The children improved in logical reasoning, problem solving, and mathematics. The skills weren't staying on the chessboard. They were transferring into everyday thinking. For the first time, scientists had evidence that chess wasn't simply teaching people how to play a game. It was teaching the brain how to think differently. But there was still one mystery left. How could 64 squares physically change the human brain? To answer that, scientists had to look inside one. To answer that question, scientists stopped studying chessboards and started studying brains. For most of the 20th century, Researchers believed the adult brain was largely fixed. Once you reached adulthood, you could learn new information, but the brain itself wasn't supposed to change. Then brain imaging technology improved. For the first time, scientists could watch the brain adapting in real time. When they compared experienced chess players to people who had never played, they found something remarkable. Years of chess had physically reshaped the brain. Areas responsible for recognizing patterns, planning ahead, and making decisions under pressure had become more efficient. Scientists called this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself through repeated practice. Think about what happens every time you play a game of chess. You evaluate a position, imagine a move, picture your opponent's response, reject one idea, explore another. Every game forces your brain to solve hundreds of tiny problems, and every time it does, it adapts, little by little, game after game. That's why the real benefit of chess isn't memorizing openings. It's teaching your brain how to think. But perhaps the most important change isn't one scientists discovered in a laboratory. It's one every chess player has experienced. Imagine you've spent 15 minutes calculating what you believe is the perfect move. You play it. Then, almost instantly, you see the blunder. Your heart sinks. You want to panic. You want to give up. But the game keeps going. Your opponent isn't waiting for you to recover. Strong players learn something that has almost nothing to do with chess. They learn to let go of the last move and focus entirely on the next one. That habit doesn't stay on the board. It follows you into everyday life. When your first plan fails, when you make a mistake, when things don't go the way you expected, chess quietly teaches you to stop dwelling on what you can't change and start thinking about what you can. That's a skill far more valuable than remembering an opening. When William Chase began his experiment in 1973, he thought he was studying memory. Instead, he uncovered something much bigger. The difference between a beginner and a grandmaster isn't that one has a better brain. It's that one has spent years training it. And that's what chess does to your brain. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens one move at a time, one decision at a time. Until one day, you realize chess hasn't just changed the way you play, it's changed the way you think. And before you go, I have one question. What's the biggest lesson chess has taught you that had nothing to do with winning? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to read your answers.